This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to call to order the Town of Ocean Ridge Planning and Zoning meeting, September 17, 2024. Kelly, roll call, please.
Okay. Member Corella?
Here.
Vice Chair Khalil?
Here.
And Chair Ferber.
Here. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, let's open up to public comment, if any. Okay, we'll close public comment. Approval of the minutes.
So moved. Approval. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And there was a lot in that too, by the way, in terms of what we went through the last time around. Okay. We'll have the quasi judicial hearing for the plan review for 5920 North Ocean Boulevard. At this time, any ex parte communication should either be disclosed by identifying the subject of the communication and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place, or any correspondence to be provided to the town clerk and made part of the public record. In addition, each member of the commission may identify the existence of any investigations or site visits he or she has conducted, or any experts' opinions received, and disclose any conflicts of interest in this matter.
None.
Members, do we have any?
None.
None. Thank you. Okay. Let's start with the process, please. Kelly, swear in those who wish to give testimony.
Okay, will anyone wishing to speak on it, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
When you are called forward, please state your name and address clearly for the record and whether or not you have been sworn in.
Okay. So we start this usually with Corey, right? Giving his overview. Yep.
Good morning, board. Chair, board members, Corey O'Brien, town planner. This is development plan review for a major renovation, second floor addition at 5920 North Ocean Boulevard. It includes 5 bedrooms, 6 bath, 2-car garage, site improvements, and total building square footage of about 7,700 square feet. Staff is recommending approval with conditions outlined in the report, and that's subject to the Planning and Zoning Board review under the Development Plan Review section, which is also outlined in the staff report. We'll be happy to answer any questions, and that concludes our presentation.
And can you give us further color on this? Of course, you mentioned there was a variance granted here.
Yes, sir.
And give us a little clarity, a little color on that, please.
Yes, sir, sure. The existing north wall of the existing building approaches into the side setback. It's approximately a 5-foot setback from the north property line currently. The proposed renovation and an expansion of the building includes what's referred to as a sunroom on the architectural plans. That is a furtherance, as it were, of the encroachment of that north wall that is in the side setback. So in order to accomplish that extension of the existing building, a variance was required. So the Board of Adjustments did grant the variance, and that sunroom is included in the plans for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments? No?
No.
No, okay. Tara, anything for you to report here?
Tara Bamber, town engineer. The only thing of my concern is in the back drain field, they're showing drainage like a drainage swale going through it, and they're gonna have to modify that because the health department does not allow swales in the drain field.
Okay, show us where again, where is that?
So if you see in the behind, like in the rear of the house.
Yes,
All that area.
that's all the drain field.
That's the drain field.
Right.
And then you can see the arrows.
Yes,
So that's kind of like a swale that's coming down. So the
Yes.
drain fields need to be like mounded.
yes.
You can't have a swale, so they're gonna have to modify that.
And have you noted that in your
Yes,
comments here?
yes,
And is that part of the condition?
yes.
Okay. Zone representative for the town. Okay, because I see the plan review.
Mr. Chairman, there is an attachment to.
Oh, yeah,
to
perfect.
the
Yeah, I
staff
have
report
my
that
own letter
includes
that
the
should be
current
in
memo.
there.
Okay,
So that's in addition to the conditions of
Approval.
approval that you recommended, because it wasn't on there.
Yes, sir. It was intended to be included.
Okay.
Okay.
Here I was hoping
My
that they had it,
apologies.
I was hoping that they had that resolved, but, okay.
you'll have that on, okay.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Any questions? Any other questions? Manny, anything on your side?
No, none at all. Mr. Corey covered what I was.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Applicant, please make your presentation.
Good morning, honorable members and Town of Ocean Ridge officials and members of the community who've taken the time to participate in this important process. As a homeowner, it is my privilege.
Can you state your name, please? And please
My
confirm.
name is Joseph Asir,
Yes,
and I'm the homeowner
right,
of
okay.
5920 North Ocean Boulevard.
Thank you very much.
Unlike typical presentations, we do not have an attorney or architect representing us, so I'm going to be the one making the presentation. I had a big elaborate presentation here, but it doesn't seem to be any objection, and it's been recommended for approval, so I don't know if I need to make a full presentation, but anyway. We moved into Ocean Ridge in 2021, and the home we moved into was a single-story ranch. And when we moved in, our only desire was to kind of keep the existing footprint of that house, but in line with the rest of the established neighborhood of two-story homes, we wanted to build a two-story home, keeping the existing footprint as much as we could, keeping the landscaping as much as we could. So our main criteria when we were planning on the home was the least amount of tearing down. We didn't want to tear the whole thing down, though most professionals recommended that that would be the best course of option, to just tear everything down, level it, and then start afresh, but that was not something we wanted to do. We also wanted to build a structure that would be timeless, and not something which would be the latest fad, something which could stick out, but 10 years later, people, the town might regret it, or we as homeowners might regret doing that. So we wanted to build a structure that would be timeless and just not the latest design craze. We also live on Ocean Road, and one of our criteria, we ideally would have wanted to have an ocean view from at least the second floor of the building or the terrace, but there were some restrictions on height and access to the terrace, so we gave up on that. But other than that, so we kind of designed the house based on this home of a friend in Washington, D.C. It's a standard neoclassical home. It's just a two-story home with straight lines, And these are the pictures of how we hope this would turn out to be. And the as a neoclassical design itself, as most of you would know, it's just based on symmetry, grandeur, and use of columns, and with the local architectural context blending with the surrounding buildings. And the next one. So this is the rendering of the front elevation of the home, and that is in keeping with the neoclassical style with prominent columns, symmetric window placements, elaborate front entry door, which is surrounded by decorative moldings, and a balanced and symmetrical facade as much as we could. And going to how it matches with the town code, the relationship of the building to the site. The neoclassical design of the building provides a very seamless transition with the streetscape, contributing to a cohesive and visually appealing environment. The building's scale and height are well suited for the site, maintaining a grand yet not an overpowering presence within its environment, and is consistent with the neighboring buildings in the vicinity. The overall height of our proposed structure is 26.8 feet. The neighboring building to the south, which is 5910 North Ocean Boulevard, is 32.7 feet. The building to the north, 5930 North Ocean Boulevard, is approximately 24 feet. The building to the east, 5929 North Ocean Boulevard, is approximately 22 feet, and we show all that in the pictures over there. And the building to the west, Whitney Way, is approximately 25 feet. That is the new building which came up on Whitney Way, which I don't have the pictures of. The next picture again shows the height of the neighboring buildings and how they look and how our proposed structure will blend into that. As I've written in my note here, the relationship of the building and site to the adjoining areas, it enhances the neighborhood with its elegance. The neoclassical style typically contributes to the aesthetic and commercial value of the neighborhood, and that was an important consideration for us as well. And we wanted to use traditional materials like stone, concrete, and stucco, and classical architectural elements. And given the formal and refined character of the style, the building aligns well with the established neighborhood of similar two-story building. The style often represents high-quality craftsmanship and detailed architectural planning, ensuring that the building relates harmoniously with its surroundings, and we hope that we've achieved that. Features like the flat roofs, windows, doors, and eaves are proportionately balanced, enhancing the building's aesthetic coherence. We are using a neutral white color, which enhances the timeless quality of the neoclassical architecture and fits well with the color scheme of the neighborhood. As per our discussions with town officials, care has been taken to integrate architectural strategies to conceal mechanical equipment, maintaining the clean lines and formal appearance of the facade. The building size appears appropriate and respects the scale of permanent developments in the area consistent with neoclassical design principles. As shown earlier, the overall height of the proposed structure is consistent with town code and neighboring structures. For the materials selection list, for the building structure, we'll be doing columns, slabs, and beams using reinforced concrete. The walls would be concrete masonry units, second floor and roof steel joists with metal pan and concrete, parapet walls, solid concrete and concrete balustrades. Windows and doors, window with wood frame with clear glass, doors, wood frame with solid panels, entry door, ornamental metal door with glass, The moldings around doors and windows will be 5-1. Wall coverings are lath and stucco over waterproof walls and concrete elements. Articulation includes concrete or wood moldings around windows, doors, and floor borders, except for the north side first floor wall where we're kind of encroaching, so we're kind of keeping it to a textured stucco on the wall and around windows and doors. The building paint would be a Sherwin-Williams pure white SW7005. The site data, the lot area is 26,535 square feet. The building footprint is 5,156 square foot and 19.5% of lot area, which is consistent with the town code. The total impervious area is 17,337 square feet. Setbacks are 25 front, 15 to the south. Side and rear setbacks, there was a variance granted for the north side setback. And the building design and specs, the first floor area would be 4,900. The slide after just the one next to that. Yes. The next one. The first floor area is 4,900 square feet. Second floor area is 3,523 square feet. The total under air would be 7,700 square feet. The maximum height is 32 feet to the parapet. And here are the renderings. That's the front elevation of the building. The east view of the building. The northeast view. The north view, the northwest view, and the west view. And here's the southwest view of the building, which also shows the sunroom at the back, which was the kind of the enclosed space, the southwest, the one before that. That's the three huge windows are the sunroom windows. Then we have a 2-car garage on the south. That's the south view, and we have all the elevations and floor plans, but I don't know if you want me to go through that, but that's. Those are all the floor plans of it. And coming to the landscaping, when we moved in, we had a pool and a fountain structure in the front, and we are keeping it the same way, using it like a water feature with the fountain and the fountain and the pool. And the landscaping. As soon as we moved in, we did a lot of landscaping, as you can see, and we're going to be keeping that. We're not altering any of that. The zoning in compliance, it's a RF residential single-family zoning. The FAR is 31.7%, which is compliant with the 32% maximum, and that's the site itself. Since this fully adheres to the town zoning and architectural standards, we request the commission to approve our plans so that we could move to the next step of the process. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Okay.
Open up for public comment. No public comment. Board, any comments here?
I think it's good. I think it's real nice. I have really no objection to it.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I have no objection to it. I just have a question of the driveway. And then, meets the code, so I'm okay with everything, but it seems like a lot of driveway. For that style of house offset, is there rationale behind?
Well, that
I'm
was
just curious.
existing, and that's why we kept it the way it is.
And then you're adding,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
that's just adding more driveway.
No. Well, yes, we are adding the driveway kind of to the south,
Yeah.
which is because we have two gates, there's an entry gate and an exit. So that's just, it's a small turn and they enter and exit through the driveway. And when the actual building conditions happen, I mean, I don't know, we want to use as much green as we can, but unfortunately, this is what we have, and we wanted to keep it the way it was.
I mean, I guess you could shave off some of it.
Yeah,
I mean, it
we could
seems
shave
like
off.
a lot of.
Yes. No,
and
you're right.
Not a lot of green.
Yeah, right. No,
for that.
we would love to shave off some of it if we could.
Because currently the southern drive, is that grassed in today?
It's just gravel.
Oh, gravel? Okay, grassed in gravel. And you're going to pave that. That's what you're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. This house has been here a long time. I don't
Yeah,
know
no, it has.
when was it built, by the way?
The house was built sometime in the 60s.
Yeah. It's been here a long time.
Yeah, we don't see any permits or any building things in the town. There's no records at all. So it's very difficult for us to kind of see where we fit on all those.
Yes, yeah.
I really don't have a judge. I mean, the two entrances are fine. It
Yeah.
just seems like
Yeah,
overall, if you
a lot
look
of
at the
fun,
whole
but,
thing,
yeah.
I'm looking at it. It just seems like, geez, that's a lot of driveway for that size lot. That's anyway. That's my only comment.
Any comments? No. Neil, any comments? No. I have no comments either. I mean, again, house has been there for a long time. I think you're making a nice improvement to it and just complying with the conditions of the officials. That's necessary. So, yeah. Any,
Move to accept or approve the application with conditions of what the staff has said, plus the engineering condition.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate you
Good
taking your
job.
time. Yep.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Looks like a big renovation.
It's a huge one.
Okay, great. Moving on, and Kelly, maybe you could give us some insight into these items that you put together. The first is the walls fronting the right of way to include landscaping requirements. And this is kind of what you and I talked about on Friday, right? So giving everyone some background on this and.
This was an item, and Kristen may go out with this, that came up during the workshops with the commissioners during the studies, what the goals would be for the planning and zoning. There's been a question of what % of the walls do they want to require coverage with landscaping? I don't believe at this point we have an actual percentage set.
This is walls that front the right of way,
Correct.
not side walls between neighbors, et cetera, right?
Correct.
Okay, just so we're being clear, it's just fronting
Right.
right of ways, yes. It's a little different than what you and I talked about on Friday then too.
So this is basically put in your guys' hands to decide what you feel is suitable to recommend to the commission. I guess currently it requires 50% of the lawn to be landscape. Do you guys want to increase that any? Or decrease?
What prompted this?
Yeah,
Remember, Christie? I know it was just one that came up on, when we asked the commissioners for, and some other suggestions for the workshop. This was one of the ones that came up. As a suggestion from them. I'm not sure who.
wasn't on our list.
That's somebody complaining that the walls were put I think what it was is that we were getting more and more walls along like A1A with no landscaping in front of them, and it made the community look sort of ugly, just having walls without any landscaping on the outside.
Even though there is a 50% rule in place today,
And
so,
they-
so are people not complying, were homeowners not complying with the 50% rule?
Yes.
Okay, so it's really here, it's an enforcement action more than anything else?
Well, and whether or not we want to increase that amount to where, eventually any wall would be landscaped to where you don't see the wall, you see pretty plantings rather than making it look like it's a fortress.
Yes. On my street, we've had that. We've had a wall and someone recently landscaped it, and it looks a lot nicer than just a wall. I agree with you. So I get it. I think the 50% rule, that, listen, you start out small and everything in this, where we live grows, right? So eventually it starts out at something like 50% and it grows to 150%, right?
By chance, is somebody using this code to mean that the 50% is on the opposite side of the wall and not on the wall? This is what the lawyer and me, not facing street. So if we had to correct anything, we should probably correct the fact that it should be facing the right of way. The 50% landscaping requirement should be facing the right of way, and that might cure whatever ill that we might be dealing with. If somebody's looking at that.
They don't landscape inside their property.
That's their
Their
business.
choice. It's their business, yeah.
Of our concern, but if somebody wanted to get around something, they say, oh, look at here, we have 50%, it's on this side. I hate this
Lawyers.
pain in the ass, I know. But it's, it is what it is.
I'm
So
good.
if that was the issue, was it an issue?
I
I'm
don't
trying to
know.
think
I
of
don't know if that's the issue.
an issue in town
Sorry.
that stands out at me,
Well, we had
no pun
a,
intended.
we had an issue talking about, and it's one of our neighbors, of course, excuse me, not of course, but there's a neighbor, which is more the height of the landscaping in the right of way.
Well, I get that. No, I
And
understand
that,
that.
we just had some interesting discussions about that at the end of last week, right? I'm okay with the way it exists today, if it's enforced correctly. And I like Ken's making sure that it is facing the right of way.
Christie, do you have any
And
issues?
yeah, Christie, what are you thinking?
No, but in this same section, I don't know if you're aware, we have a recent issue with hedges.
Yes.
So we could maybe do a little cleanup in this code section, because 6444C was the section with hedges. And so we could maybe do some cleanup to clarify that the 50% rule applies to the wall adjacent to the improved public right of way.
Facing.
Facing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is this 50% coverage at installation, or this is at, as you talked about, full growth?
Yeah.
Because it's.
Well, this, I would think she's talking about the hedges, the height of the hedges. That's where they
understand
get. And they start out, small, but you want to, I guess it's for line of sight, so people pulling in and out of driveways don't get blocked to seeing a car coming.
I know, like right now, you can't have anything in the right of way, so you have to make sure they're, trimmed back as well.
Yeah.
So they're not encroaching in that right of way or the line of sight.
Yes.
I don't know, can we put, I know we already say they can't be in there, but can we put something in there, Christie, about encroaching in that right of way as well? I don't know if you guys want to cap the height. I don't know.
What is it currently? Is it 6 feet? Do you tell me? That faces right away?
In the front,
It's about the wall.
No, this height of landscape.
The wall.
We don't
This
have-
is the hedges. This is
The
the
wall
64.
itself.
There's an 18-inch requirement setback from the right of way for any wall, fence, or hedge.
But the height,
The height of the hedge,
no, the height of the wall.
the height of the wall
Has to be,
across the board
6
are
feet.
4 feet or 6
4
feet,
feet.
depending on where it is on the property. But obviously, the hedge height is the issue of recent,
Right.
that We don't believe there's a hedge height, maximum hedge height in the town code, but obviously if you're at an intersection, you would have to comply with the site triangle requirements.
Correct.
Which is the same as the wall, the 4-6 feet, right? Wouldn't it be the same?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it should be.
actually
It
might
should
have to
be.
be smaller,
Okay.
for the landscaping, but we can look at that.
I would definitely suggest specifying all that in there. To make
Correct,
it very
correct.
clear.
Okay, any other discussion?
One thing at a time. Let's correct this one, and then we'll have a separate discussion on the hedge issue, because there's more to it than just meets the eye, because we've been through that.
Have you
Yeah.
ever talked about that
Yeah,
over the years?
Oh, yeah, that's, that there.
Beyond the
that's-
right of way too, just
That's
behind?
that's why there's a glaring omission of hedges in the statute, because it was discussed and talked about and opened and everything else. So I can lend some insight on that. And up until now, it hasn't been an issue, so, and still shouldn't be an issue, but regardless, why don't we correct this?
Yes.
No,
And I think that'll go a long way.
Support Ken's, making sure it faces the right of way.
Do you need any specific direction? No motion, just consensus to do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, thank you. Minimum, maximum seawall heights. Kelly, anything here to give us some, because you've given us this and you've given us the ordinance from the City of Fort Lauderdale, is that correct?
Currently, we do not have a minimum or a maximum. And right now, I don't believe, staff is recommending a maximum, but we are kind of suggesting that we consider a minimum for our seawall height. We are recommending 5 NAVD. There are, I believe, certain cities that have have established a maximum. I don't think with what the engineer is saying, that because each property varies, and she's saying that we have some with 19. But it's all because of, your finished floor, it's based off of that. So I don't know, with the, rising of the waters, we might want to consider establishing that for the town. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yes, I think it is. I think this is important, right? And I think to establish a minimum is important. City of Fort Lauderdale, I've been following what they've been doing for a couple of years now. They've gone through a lot of work in this. And as Christy and I talked about earlier today, this talks about seawalls and of course docks as well, because they go hand in hand together, right? What's going on here. It also talks about here, which I think is, and for those of us that live on the intercoastal and where the seawalls are a necessary barrier and protection, storms, et cetera, right? So where do you start to establish what the criteria is? The minimum certainly is, I think, having been established for Fort Lauderdale, but then, where is it implemented? In Fort Lauderdale too, they have it's on any building a new seawall, right? Right? Or new home. If the seawall is damaged, more than 50% of the structure of some nature like it, and seawalls that with low tidal flowing, and it says and sends water to neighboring yards and nearby roadways, right? So we can protect our overall environment. I think is extremely important. I noticed Fort Lauderdale goes to their again, Christy and I looked at this morning. Standards for shoreline structures, D, talks about these specific areas too, right? D1, D2, D3, D4. Tidal barriers shall be designed and constructed to prevent tidal waters from flowing through the barrier. Yes. Thought they did a good job here. I'm sure everyone hasn't had a chance to fully review it, but it's certainly pretty thorough.
Where do we have a seawall that's 19 feet?
I think it's over on Sable,
Yes.
no? With the,
The new one on the corner on that
way
end.
on the, no, towards the opening of the inlet, not the inlet, you can see it from the water. That's the one.
I'm not gonna
Oh,
say
it's pretty
no,
high.
but
It's pretty high. I don't know if it's 19, but it's pretty
19
high.
are the houses on the beach.
Oh, okay.
When they redid all their seawalls a couple years
That
ago,
makes sense.
all those houses, they're at 19 because the beach is here.
On down here on the south end.
Yeah, like,
That wall.
well, yeah, in different areas, but off of Old Ocean and off of.
Old Ocean, right, and,
North Ocean Boulevard.
I know.
When we had all of those, hurricane, and then they were all eroding, and
Right.
then we came in and we did a bunch of seawalls. That's where that 19 came from. So it's not on the intercoastal or
Yeah.
any of the fingers.
So next to Lanigan, who has that house? It used to be, Bailey, Wolfforth.
Wolford, yeah.
Right there, that's a pretty high seawall. If you can see it from the water.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's only on the beach.
The 19 feet.
The 19 itself, but if you see it from the water, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Maybe
Mhm.
not 19, but it's not 19, but it's high.
What is the current insurance? What is the required seawall height for the insurance, for the FEMA insurance?
I don't know if it's,
There is not one
I've just been going
here?
through this recently. It's not that, it's the finished floor elevation of your home.
Yeah.
Okay, and and I'm learning it's not just the finished floor elevation of your home, it's finished floor elevation of your garage as well.
I don't know.
For my insurance, let's put it that way, it's
And that's
He's saying
7 now
for
or
insurance
9?
purposes, not-
that's insurance, yeah.
9? No, we want people to be able to insure their houses.
Yeah.
But if a storm comes, it'll make a big difference of the recovery.
In the interest of full disclosure, we are going through the process of redoing our seawall at Ocean K, so I just want to put
Yeah.
that out. And, almost any engineering firm you hire to redo it is going to do it at 5 anyway, because, so I'm not sure that's going to be very controversial in terms of setting that up. The implication of going to be in certain area, at least in our case, where you have boundaries and you need your neighbor's approval to be able to do it, as well as the dock structure configuration will have to change, because most of the seawalls around town are about 3 above NABD. That's how it was built in the 70s. So you go up 2 feet at low tide, you either need the lift for your boat or a floating dock. So that's going to have some implication in terms of if we're forcing people to raise their seawall, then we have to
Yes.
accommodate
Do we
the
force
dock.
a return as well?
Most engineering firm will design a return as well, I think. Otherwise, it will undermine the wall integrity.
And
But
the
that ends up with your neighbor's situation where, all of a sudden we have a 2 feet.
That is the issue, and that's the problem. And I think and I know Shields is well aware of this, there are areas that are more prone to an issue than others, Island Drive being one of them, right? That has, there's a low seawall there, and that makes an opening for potential for water to come down, where some of the seawalls are higher. So I think this is a good step. And I think the Fort Lauderdale version is really good. How it gets incorporated to us is another story, and how we make that work.
Right.
We have to look at that. And how I would be careful and cautious about making it, the new standard is now 5. I guess the new standard to build would be 5, but that doesn't make the existing lots non-conforming, so that it becomes a problem. So we have to kind of play with how this is worded so that it's not an issue, because it could, it's the unintended consequence.
What is and non-conforming would do what? What's the
Well, I
consequence
think it
of
would,
being non-conforming to a land or to a property owner?
Well, I think it could possibly appear in the marketplace and you can't expand a non-conforming property. I mean, there's lots of things that you might have unintended consequences, which I don't know.
Yes, yeah, I got
It's something
that.
to
No, I
think
get that.
about
That's why I'm asking,
And
yes.
how we
I'm
do
trying
it,
to- yeah.
not necessarily that,
I
you know, we
also
just
think
have to think about.
it will discourage owners from really fixing the wall the right way, because if you get that 50% rule, instead of dealing with the situation, they'll tend to, because they'll push them over to,
Which,
yeah.
you know, you raise what I think is the most important point. And that is to develop something that encourages people to do it. For example, when the seawalls in Manalapan, and it's a little bit in Ocean Ridge, but not so much, but seriously Manalapan, when the DEP said, listen, we need bigger seawalls, they relaxed applications. They relaxed permit fees. They relaxed everything to make sure it
Interesting.
gets done.
Yeah.
So I think we should employ the same type of thing, because we really do want to
Encouraging it.
encourage
Yeah, yeah.
this.
Absolutely.
And so if they increase, then we will do X. We will waive fees. We will waive, but whatever. But I think those are the types of things that we need to think about that makes a positive impact, as opposed to having this another thing that somebody has to deal with, as opposed to some, oh, okay. Yeah,
I agree. And it's also going to be like an arms race of some sorts, is if we raise our seawall, for instance, or our property, that water is going to have to go someplace, and it's going to go to the neighbor's house. So it really behooves everybody to do it at the same time. Otherwise, the flooding is it's going to get worse. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I'm guessing this will happen if, you know, the water used to come over my seawall is now it's going to, in that little pond, it's going to end up either at Wellington Arm or north of us.
Yeah.
And there's also some properties that the town owns, including the inlet bridge, that's very, very low, and that floods all the time. So
Well, that
Maybe leading by
you're
example
talking
with-
about Island Drive,
Yeah.
that's an issue.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
seawall that's surrounding that bridge is an issue.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And so how we deal with that is a whole nother story.
it's set a good example might be a part of that incentive, you know, for the town. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's on the capital plan for some time.
But remember, we had an application in front of us a couple months back that was on Sable. What's the last island that's on the south of Sable? Ken?
It's Inland Harbor.
Inland, that they took a home and added on to it, and they weren't going to raise a seawall. And they weren't required to raise a seawall at that point. And so that's, I think we got to make sure, if you're doing substantial changes to your home, and I don't know the application we just saw, that application, for instance, if that was on the intercoastal, I would expect that applicant to have then comply with the current code, the contemplated
You
code.
say raise seawall, you mean replace seawall.
Replaced, yeah.
You
No,
can
not
you
necessarily.
can
No,
replace,
not
you can
necessarily.
raise the cap.
You can raise the cap. It's,
You can raise the
yeah,
cap.
and it can be
Multiple
done.
ways of skinning the cat.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's all
Then
economic,
you
but
need to
yes,
make sure that the foundation they're putting their raised seawall on is good.
absolutely.
Wow, that's a given. They want.
But the engineers today, I think, are very,
Who does
they're
that?
conscious of that.
Yeah, they're, you know, we've gone through this. They look at it.
Speakers with microphones on.
Okay,
Oh, that's,
sorry.
can't hear us?
So,
Sorry.
they do, like, I can give you they do, they drill down 30, 40 feet to get to the rock, figure out what the situation is, figure out the existing structure, and if it's okay, they can put a cap on top of it, or even put like some buttresses in front. So that goes without saying, but you do not necessarily need to replace the entire seawall.
Yeah.
And there are mechanical systems now, plastic and composites that can go in front of the existing one. That would make it a lot easier. And I think, you know, to Ken's point, it really behooves us to make it easy on people to do what they need to
Yes.
do, because compliance will go up versus trying to kind of punt on the street.
Well, something like this impacts larger than just that home.
Yeah.
So when it impacts a neighboring situation, you know, I think that's And if we haven't done so already, I think it behooves the town to get an inventory of those types of areas where there is a weakness, such as island potential. I shouldn't say that it is, it's just potential looking forward in the future so that we can develop a plan to address those types of issues. So I think if we had to give a recommendation to the commission and therefore give a recommendation to the town manager is to start to implement that type of thought process.
What is the town policy if people have to put a 5-foot seawall in and their elevation of their property is lower than that? Do we allow fill to raise properties? Because in New Jersey, where we don't allow fill.
Yes.
You cannot raise your existing property.
If you see any of the new construction, it's all been a lot of fills involved.
That's not gonna be an issue.
It's rising from the sea.
That's a good question. I support that. I support us taking a very close look, and as Ken said, at what Fort Lauderdale's done and trying to see how it applies here for the town as well.
On the maximum height issue, I'm not sure that's something we should address. It doesn't.
Well, I think there is. I disagree. I think there could be something I think there has to be some correlation between the size of a wall because it does impact, again, water has to go somewhere. Right? And if all of a sudden something is higher than should be a norm, then that could, no different than a wall height. Why we have wall heights, why?
Right.
There's an issue there. So I don't think it would be an issue, but since we're looking at it, I think it's worthwhile at least taking a look at it.
In that case, maybe intercoastal side will be a different max than the ocean side. I don't know.
They actually had a maximum allowable seawall or dock elevation. They struck it. I haven't read this thoroughly enough, but they did have a minimum and a maximum.
I just say we should look at it.
Yes.
Not to say that we should be implemented, but just look at it. Say, what are the ramifications? What are the issues with that?
One other thing that came up in discussions, I don't remember if it was here in planning and zoning or if it was in the town commission, was possibly requiring, like if they're coming to you guys for their new home, substantial improvement, whatever it may be, coming to planning and zoning, that they're required to increase the height of their seawall at that time.
Yes.
That's what Sheila was.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. If you're new construction, absolutely, or even, renovation, modification, absolutely they should, right? You're going to have to force the issue to some degree, Ken. I mean, you can't just, I agree with you making it simple, but easy, but you've got to force the issue across the board, right? Especially we live on where we live on these they're filled barrier islands, that's all they are.
At some level, you want to hope that they would do it naturally, but you can't rely upon it.
Can't rely upon it.
So I don't disagree with that. That if there's,
I think a carrot and a stick.
Yeah.
Put a standard in, but make it easy for people to live up to it.
And we have down here, I've only seen the corrugated thick plastic or the concrete. No one would put wood down here. In New Jersey, it's almost all wood.
Yes, on the face. You mean the face?
Yeah,
Face.
it's too high.
I don't think wood would
Yeah.
fare too well here.
I don't know.
The Sable Island, the triple lots, the guy right now is putting in the plastic.
The PVC. Yeah,
Yes, the
that's-
PVC
So
material.
are we going to specify that it has to be of those two, the plastic or the
Is there
concrete?
a specific item in the code today? Specification, the spec for the code?
Where Sable is, there's a ridge there. There's a lot of rock there. There's some natural forming rock
Yes.
right there. That's different than Island Drive area, our island, which is all fill,
I think we
and
should.
inlet, which is partially fill.
Right, we should stay away from that. I think let the engineers decide. And also, there are modern, newer systems and technologies being developed, and we don't want to stand in the way of progress, I think. As long as
Right.
the engineers look at it and say it will work, it should be good enough for us.
Great. Any other comment?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Just actually, how high is what the Muse is doing across the street there? The new seawall that's going in near the Ocean Club? Anybody know the height of that?
Yeah.
Is it 5 feet?
It could be
It's
5 feet.
It's above that. I've been
Right.
keeping an eye on it, talking to them because we might be sharing.
The South Masonet you're talking
Yeah,
about?
South Mason.
Yeah. No, yeah, it looks like it's 5. When I walk over the Stable Island Bridge, it looks like it's 5 feet.
I'm just curious.
Can you guys just get us the information on that, what that is, please? You know, the South Masonets, they did their entire seawall. It's only taken them like 6 months.
6.
It's
No,
still
I-
going.
Try a year and 6
No,
months.
no,
It's
whatever.
still going. It's
Yeah,
still only
still going.
Trust me, I know.
60% through it.
Right there.
Commissioner comments?
Mr. Chair, just
Yep.
one thing for staff clarification. Is the commission looking for us to bring back like a proposed ordinance for further review? Because I'm thinking this through, looking at the Fort Lauderdale one, it might be helpful for you to see sort of a draft along with the current provisions dealing with docks.
Yes.
Because thinking through the comments about a way to incentivize people, there may be also something that you could play with dock dimensions, almost like a sort of a zoning bonus that you do sometimes. If someone does something, you might give them some extra, footage for their dock or something like that to, again, encourage, folks to do this.
That's good.
Good.
I would
Yeah.
suggest that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Christie. Commissioner comments?
You have to do it.
Anything else, guys?
No?
Good.
I've got one comment that just addressing you guys, talking about, I guess more specifically where I live there. The Inlet Park and the barrier between the Inlet Park and Island Drive was a pretty good barrier, so people couldn't get around it. Today, it's just a fence that kids run around. And when I see 8-year-old kids jumping off going around it and jumping off the bridge there, is that a good thing?
No.
Okay. And it happens all the time. And so I've talked to you guys in the past about this. I don't know what's going on with the county, but I think they've got to, someone's got to be, really have a comment to them, because if one of those kids jumps up this past weekend, these are little kids, like 8 years old or 10 years old, just going back and forth, jumping off. And if they jump off the bridge and injure themselves, then what happens? I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Well,
Ken does.
Where's the Ken? Ken knows.
Ken, what happens?
Ken knows what happens. But I'm serious. It's something like they put up on a temporary basis and never put anything up that really restricts that access, right?
So let's take a look back historically
Yes.
about that and why there's a wall there and why was there that blocking to begin with.
Yes.
A long time ago, there was problems with the Inlet Park and and our island. So a deal was struck with the county that would be completely protected and barricaded, that the sheriff would have a 24-hour enforcement there, that they would have a presence at the park, that there were all these things that I hate to say that in the past, when they went to redo it, I think Ocean Ridge dropped the ball and relaxed some of the requirements that we had in place for that. So my suggestion is to go back and look to see and find out why we did that to begin with, which I can tell you why we did that to begin with, and try to seek to implement that again, to avoid any future issue. And one of them would be that they have to block that so that there isn't access from the park into that island.
So there's a specific agreement in place.
There was.
What was? Do you say when you mean was?
I don't think there was. We had a lot of agreements in place that they let drop when they did this renewed dock and everything else. And
Does it say no jumping on the bridge?
Well, I don't know about
We should
that.
put some signage up.
Hey, Lynn, is
No
that,
jumping, no.
it
No
was
trespassing.
in the new
Jumping
in
up.
the new renovation over at the park? Did we drop out these requirements?
I don't know, the permit was approved before I got here for that project, but I can take a look at it, and I'm finding my contact at Palm Beach County, and I'm going to email them about it.
there's really nobody, I don't think anybody here that was involved in that, unfortunately.
I just called that they're going to be trying to be putting a new permit for a new playground over there, so I might take advantage of that. Maybe put that.
I can tell you what we did when the first playground went in. So.
I use the first.
No,
Right?
well, no, I tell
Over at the
you,
beach area over there, yeah.
I'll credit my wife for that playground.
Okay.
Because she pushed for that playground. And this was back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And the county went along with it and it became very nice. So
Yes.
I'm glad that they're replacing it.
Yeah.
But
Did they take it down in the renovation? I haven't been there.
Been over there.
I haven't been over there for a long time. Uh-huh. But can we pull up what our agreement was in place, what it is currently? So we know what we have in place with the county? Chrissy, you familiar with any of that?
No, I can see what we have in our system. And
Yes.
just start to look and see
Because
what-
listen, the patrolling is non-existent
You'd
compared to what
have
it
to
used to
go
be.
back to the 80s. I think
Mayor Dwyer,
Dwyer was involved.
yes.
And I think we ended up threatening a lawsuit against the county. And that's when we just came to some agreement and it's worked, but as time goes, people forget. And that's what happens.
thank you for that. Anything else? Okay, next meeting will be October 16th.
Actually, the 15th, it was
Excuse me?
it was a typo.
15th?
Sorry.
15th, 2024. Okay,
10:15.
yes.
Wednesday.
Adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.